today we're talking about the Jonestown Massacre. And
whoa, fun subject.
This is like the OG cult story, I would call it, where at the end you have the famous mass suicide with cyanide-flavored punch, which is why Nate made us punch. There's really no alcohol in this.
It's just
grape
Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid.
I'm so confused. But this was the People's Temple cult, and it was led by Jim Jones, and we're going to talk a lot about Jim Jones. And he was quite a piece of work, huh? He's kind of like the OG psychopath too. He was like made to be a cult leader. Like his whole life, it was just perfect for him.
It's like he was destined to be a serial killer.
He was a natural.
Yeah,
he was really good at being a dick.
As a kid, even.
Yeah, right.
He's like, let
Zach.
me host this funeral for my cats that I killed.
Dude, yeah. The signs were there.
Yeah.
And he just progressed exactly how they would have expected, right? Ending up with tons of dead people.
Anytime
900 dead people.
Yeah.
Over 900 people died in his mass suicide.
Excuse me.
That's pretty nasty.
Yeah, I think it was. I think I wrote a note down that said it was like the largest non-violent like killing like of 900 people.
Mass casualty event.
Yeah, I guess that's what it's called.
Since say until 9/11.
Yeah, until 9.
It was the most American deaths at once.
That's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Like the fact that 900 was up there for so long. That's all right.
Civilian deaths, I think, is what it was.
Yeah. Well,
but still, yeah, that's crazy.
You want to hear a joke about Jim Jones?
Ah, great.
Nah, forget about it. The punchline's too long.
Ha, 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 ha. Yeah, 900 long.
It's funny. Normally that joke kills.
You're proud of that one, aren't you?
Yeah, I thought about that all week.
I do like how you have those scripted.
I know. That's the best part.
I do enjoy it.
Dude, the combination of candy corn whiskey and Kool-Aid is a little odd.
Sorry.
I don't know if I'm a big fan.
Oh shit, I forgot to make my shot.
Jim Jones was a son of a bitch.
He was a civil rights leader, actually, before he turned evil.
Yeah. Good for him, right?
Evil.
He loved the black people.
Oh,
he got kicked out of Indiana for being an integrationist. Yeah. Like that was.
That's a hell of a word.
Talk about going in the wrong direction after that.
I know. I thought it was funny that of all the things, like the fact that he was
all
trying
the
to
fucked
integrate
up things. Yeah.
He's trying to integrate black and white
God
people
damn
together.
it! You do that back then.
Well, I think
that's worse than being a cult leader.
I think he was on the path to like a good thing, and then they be like, you can't do that, and he's like, well, fuck it then. I'm fucking people up, and I'm gonna kill a bunch of people.
Fuck it, we're gonna drink some punch.
I don't think that's why.
Oh, you don't think so? Oh.
I think
he gave up.
He
gave up
other
after
reasons.
that.
He was naturally fucked up.
Yeah,
I think.
Wow.
But let's get into it. Right, we're three avid history buffs and lifelong friends.
Well, two avid history buffs and Zach.
And Zach, the hairy one in the center here. That's my big brother. Big brother Zach.
My hero.
Thanks for coming on the show, Zach.
No problem.
Yeah, thanks
I
for
love
coming back.
Colts.
And
I don't remember the last episode.
You know what? It's time to get weird, guys. Let's go. All right. Welcome back. And today we are talking about the Jonestown Massacre, which has to do with the People's Temple cult. We're going to go through Jim Jones, who is the leader of the cult. We'll then cover the cult that he created, the People's Temple cult, like we said. Nate's going to cover at that time because he loves doing that.
Yeah, I'm nerding out.
Zach will go through what's called the 6-day siege, or the climactic event that happens. And then
The climax.
we'll do some trivia, and Nate's going to cover the actual massacre itself.
Yeah, the events of the day,
which is really dark. This is a little bit of a darker episode. Again, I don't know. We keep doing dark episodes.
Maybe that's just very telling about us.
And Nate made us some grape Kool-Aid.
Drink the Kool-Aid.
Which is weird.
Oh yeah.
That's.
I don't know why I'm drinking it either.
Yeah, you weirdo.
It does taste good.
It does. It's because Kool-Aid's delicious.
So first we're going to go through Jim Jones, right? Jim Jones was a son of a bitch.
Yeah.
He was like the guy was like a very much a natural at being a cult leader, I feel like. But to pull it way back, right? He was born in 1931 in Indiana, and he was poor.
He was because he was in Indiana.
That and like
I don't think there was a single rich person in Indiana in the 30s.
The Great Depression also was
exactly
full in effect at the same time.
And it's Indiana.
Okay.
The butt crack of the United States.
Don't you like football teams from Indiana? Or no? That's Ohio.
Ohio.
I feel like
Go Bengals.
okay. I feel like all right. Fine. Okay, fine.
All that's in Indiana is Notre Dame and meth.
Yeah, I don't know.
And a random hotel that looks like a barn.
But growing up, he wasn't like the toughest kid, right?
They never are.
He was very intense though, and he was very mature for his age, and like he was known to be very serious, and he had like a very commanding presence even when he was younger. And his home life was really screwed up, right? I mean, I don't think you get to be a cult leader with a happy life behind you.
Nah, usually it's not,
Right.
He reminds
Trust
me of
fund
like
kids.
Like the kid from the Children of the Corn. Who's that guy?
But the fucking redheaded kid?
No, the leader.
Outlander. Oh no, the little kid.
The little kid.
The evil kid. Yeah.
He was that kid.
That's probably who they fucking did it after.
Probably.
That makes a lot of sense.
Can't remember his name now.
But his dad was
Evil
verbally
kid.
abusive, addicted to gambling and alcohol. So he kind of the trifecta. He served in World War One, and he was disabled after it. And like overall, his dad was like he was there, but he wasn't like emotionally there. Like he was kind of a dick, right?
At least he had a dad.
But his mom was a much of a different story. Like she was kind of a tougher woman.
Gotta be.
When she was younger, she like aspired to be a business owner, and she went to school to like learn about agriculture and economics. She did.
Oh, we don't allow that back then.
She did, and then hardship came, and she like had to end up taking a factory job, and like she was kind of always salty about that. So she always had these like progressive socialist views.
Gotta love socialism. Ha ha ha.
So like
Commies.
yeah. So like, and at the time, right, the Great Depression's going on. Yeah. It's a good time to poke out.
It's a good time.
It's a good time to like look at capitalism and be like, hey, capitalism kind of sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the Depression's just kind of ruined.
Yeah,
everything.
It sucks.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, potatoes ain't too bad.
So poor little James had to grow up very quick. He always had a natural need for attention and control.
Little Damien.
Just like he has a need for attention, right? Someone else I know.
I don't know.
That's why we put him in the fucking middle. And hid the mic in front of him.
The Michael Jordan of cult leaders.
Dude, yeah, but he was the Michael Jordan of cult leaders. So this is the weirdest story of him growing up, is that he would get like the neighborhood boys together and like stand up on a platform and start preaching. Okay. It started with dogs. He had like this pack of dogs that he would train up, and like they followed him around and stuff.
I think if I had a time machine, I would go back just to see that. I just want to when I read that, I'm like, what the fuck is this dude?
He had this group of dogs, right? And like they were super loyal to him, but still he would like torture the dogs in really sick ways. And dogs aren't really smart enough to be like, dude, did you see what he did to Roger?
What a dick. See what he did to Fido?
It reminds me of like Ramsay from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I don't know that reference.
Oh God, Nate.
Read a book.
Culture.
Read a book. It's a show. It's a book series too.
There was a couple instances where the dogs would actually defend him in a tough situation when he found himself in a bind, which I thought was kind of cool. Like maybe I should have done that when I was a kid.
No, instead you hung out with me.
No, but but he'd torture him and like do these things where he would especially like confine them. Like he would completely tie them up and restrict their movement. And it was, maybe an early sign that he was fairly manipulative.
Psychotic.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, it's not like what a healthy person does.
No, I
So,
don't remember
like-
doing that.
So like every serial killer always has these like animal beginnings of when they torture animals or they're killing animals, they're doing experiments on them.
Yeah.
You know right away those kids are going to be fucked
And
up
that-
as adults.
Yeah, and that's a good. A good way to describe Jim Jones is, like, yeah, he's a cult leader, but that dude's a straight up serial killer.
Dude, yeah, I agree.
He was made in the mold. He couldn't.
Yeah.
There was no.
That dude's whole life was going to lead to psycho death.
He's the Michael Jordan.
Which
Of
is
cult
sad to
leaders.
think that you can't change your own path. You know, but like, he didn't have much chance.
Dude,
I
yeah,
don't
you
think.
talk about his upbringing, you're like, yeah, it all went exactly as you think.
This is either he was going to live in a trailer in rural Indiana, or he was going to grow up and
was
become
gonna
the
do
first
something.
big cult.
Well, so he would then kill the dogs sometimes, and like they'd hold like a mock funeral for him, and he would preach at it. Like,
I could just see his dad
So-
rolling up to the backyard and then just,
Oh, not again!
damn it, we lost a good one today.
James, God damn it, you preaching again? But it's just weird, like, who does that, right? Who like? I'm gonna go over to Jim's house today. He's got a dead dog. He's gonna do a funeral thing for it. The moms are like, "What the fuck?" All right.
Jim's got a sermon going today.
In the 1940s, they were
Bill,
like,
you're in
Well,
second grade.
So the thing is, like in the 1930s and the 40s, right? Mom's at work, right? She's a
That's
factory
true.
worker, 7 days a week. She's fucking gone.
He's going around to mailboxes, putting invitations in spots around the neighborhood.
Have you heard the good word? I
So-
killed my dog today.
Yeah, we're having a funeral. The Jones are a little weird.
Keeping up with the Joneses has a whole different meaning.
Ted, I don't know if we should have him hang out with them anymore.
Billy's staying home
The
today.
dad's just drunk, like just flat drunk all the time. Like,
I mean, honestly, if my kid was like that, I probably would be too.
dude, I think
Stop preaching to me, damn it.
I think in the 1940s, people drank a lot more than they do now.
Well, I
It's like
mean,
Mad Men.
especially like being his dad coming home from World War One, like that was a ridiculous war.
Yeah, I mean, I get that.
Yeah.
The fact is,
Just
like,
the amount of death and fucked up shit he probably saw, and then he was injured, so then comes home crippled.
yeah, he had a better job, his dad did, but because he had so many like medical issues,
Yeah.
especially with his lungs.
Yeah. Well, I
He had
mean,
to
you
quit.
basically go to World War One, come home, you have a couple years, but I mean, he was injured, so I mean, he came home
Right.
crippled,
Right.
not doing well, and then the fucking depression hits. And then what saved us from the depression? World War II.
Dude, that's the thing. I think when there's the depression going on, I think like you don't really have time to be a good parent.
No, I mean your goal is just to make sure everybody's alive.
Yeah, I mean, it's at the age where like factory workers working in a factory is such a thing, and then your kids are just out doing whatever the fuck all day,
You're just like, eh.
You don't
taking
have-
care of themselves.
Yeah.
You don't have a bunch of snowflakes growing up, that's for sure.
No, I mean that was the generation that was World War II,
The greatest generation,
Korean
right?
War.
Maybe that's what people need to do.
I don't know.
Just go focus on your work.
Well, you
Let
had the
your kids do
Korean War,
whatever.
and then you had Vietnam, and those were the tough bitches.
Anyways, so as he grew older, right, he started to get like this more of a leadership type role in like his social circle with the other little boys. Okay, he was the leader. Well, like he was the leader of like his little
Dude,
boy.
he
clique.
straight up was Children of the Corn.
He was preaching in his backyard to him, but then
I gotta look it up.
he would also like completely fuck with some of his like close friends too. So there's a couple stories about Ronnie was one of his like
Poor Ronnie.
childhood friends. So one time he knew that Ronnie was afraid of the dark. So
Poor kid.
what Jim did is he locked him in a barn overnight, a barn attic where there was no light or anything, just to fuck with him, just because he knew that he was afraid of the dark. And he would preach it like, well, I'm going to teach you something, or there's like some moral sense to this. Like it actually was just he would like to fucking
He was
fuck
just
over
being
his
mean.
friends.
And
He was manipulative.
like I said, if I had a time machine, I just want to see this little like young kid sitting there like preaching in front, just sit in the back just to listen.
This
The weirdest
Isaac,
thing
the kid's name from Children of the Corn
Was Isaac? Yeah,
is driving Zach crazy.
I found
was.
I found it.
So another time, he took Ronnie out, and he was like, "Hey, Ronnie, jump off this roof." And Ronnie's like, "I don't want to jump off the roof." He's like, "Go jump off the roof," and like started getting all crazy. And so Ronnie jumped off the roof and broke his arm.
I mean, it's usually what happens.
So it's like it's one of those friends you have as a kid that's just a bad friend.
Yeah,
Mm.
like Jake.
Was I a bad friend as a kid? I don't think I was.
No, I don't think you were really that bad.
I was a pushover.
Why do you think I kept you around?
Because I
You joined my cult. You joined my basement podcast.
because I kiss good.
You do.
Just go right with it. So he got older, and Jones started going to like various churches. Like he went to all sorts of different denominations, and like he would go there and study them, like what was working with the crowd and stuff like that. Like he was learning. He was like it was like Michael Jordan going, to the Tar Heels. He was learning in the early stages of how to be.
He was
Poor
best
Michael
cult
Jordan.
leader.
We're just over here
he
comparing
was
him to a
shooting
cult leader.
free throws every night. Well, actually, I
Till
heard
3 a.m.
torturing dogs.
the one thing was he ran from church service to church service in his own town.
Is that right?
Yeah,
That sounds like it makes sense.
So
Well, I
so
mean,
then-
I guess if majority of it's on a Sunday, you gotta.
Well, I mean, he's
Sunday
like,
morning, yeah.
from what I heard, it was like there were 4 churches that were in his small town that he grew up in, and then he'd get like 15 minutes into one, and he'd be like, I got to go to the other one now, and he ran to the other church, while like regular kids were like playing like outside and stuff like
Hey,
that.
Jim, you want to come play stickball? Can't. Gotta go to sermon.
Not Jim. Jim had better things in mind.
Fucking 8-year-old.
He
named
was
Jim.
building his potential.
Someday we're gonna, and he was also researching punch recipes.
The rumple's kicking in.
Flavoring.
Yeah, I might get a little sloppy. One of the key ones that he found was the Father Divine. I guess is his name. He was one of the key figures that influenced Jones as like a preacher. He was this charismatic African American religious leader who preached about racial integration.
Yeah. Have you ever been to like black church?
So I've never been to black church, but man, it looks like a good time.
Dude,
Sounds like a good time.
so I got to go to a very heavy Baptist wedding, like black wedding. So my mom used to work at the food pantry, and there was a social worker that got married. I fucking loved her to death. And she was getting married, and so she invited me, my mom, and my mom's boss. Holy shit, was it awesome.
A lot of energy.
The
probably.
fucking energy of that building. I was getting ready to sing, and I didn't know any of the songs.
Started tearing up.
Dude, it was such a blast. But no, that was one of the most fun things ever.
So like that struck a chord with Jim too, and like I think he saw, especially if you preach about integration and breaking down segregation, like people would follow you. I think that's one of the things that he saw when he did his, like, I'll call it research in different denominations, was he was like, if I preach these kinds of things that are hot topic right now, like civil rights movement in the 50s when he starts building the People's Temple cult, it's like a hugely important topic of the time, and I think he used that to his advantage.
Are you sure that he wasn't just genuinely concerned about
No.
the civil rights?
I think he was just naturally. So we're talking about the same guy.
That
There's a
tortured
story.
dogs.
So more than that, I was gonna say too. There was a time where he's preaching to his like pack of little boys, right? I giggle
It just
too.
sounds so
It
bad.
sounds so bad. All right, so no, there was a story of him and his pack of little boys, right? And what he did was he cut off the legs of a duck and he put it and surgically attached them to a chicken.
You know how old he was when he did that?
No, but he like went to his pack of little boys, was like, you guys, I'm basically like the world's best surgeon.
God, right
I
now.
attached duck legs to a chicken.
It's like the beginning of the human centipede.
You know, I will pride myself. I've never seen that.
But like he always used to preach like I am everything for you. I can be your medical professional. You know, I am like a god, right? My morals are supreme, and my practices are just.
What'd you do today, little Timmy? Well, you know, I had a headache, so I went over to little Jim's house, and he hit me in the head with a hammer, and now it don't hurt no more.
So, some of that comes up later too. But that's the picture of Jim Jones. That's where we're gonna leave like his kind of upbringing, and he started getting into preaching. He got into a Pentecostal denomination. He was ordained as a minister.
I'm ordained.
Yeah, I know. So if any of you want to get married and you need a minister,
I got my certificate upstairs.
Nate can do it.
Right underneath Becca's master's. So actually, his first church that he did do was the Community Unity Church, and then later became Wings of Deliverance, and then eventually became a fucking bird again. Shit, not the animal episode.
Hey man, I'm just glad there's not flies in here anymore.
Dude, thank God. They all died. So then eventually it became the People's Temple Cult. That sad shit. But Jim Jones was very charismatic, always. What? Jim's big thing was that it started in Indiana. Eventually they moved out west, but his big thing was that he did a lot of faith healing and miracles because he wanted to basically the very gullible religious people you always see in the movies and TV shows, you know, oh, he healed them, he did this.
Well,
and that.
the thing is some of them actually like a few of them maybe worked or something, and then he's like, I am God.
He convinced himself. But yeah, so
Dude, if I tried to heal someone they healed, I'd start being like, maybe I am God.
honestly, yes. Like if I was like, you're healed, and then 2 weeks later they're good, I'd be like, hot damn.
No, but most of the time it was people that he planted, right? He would plant people in the audience and be like, oh, your cancer's gone. They'd be like, oh, my cancer's gone. Whoa.
I have cancer?
Some of it,
That would be me.
some
I'd be
of it
sitting in
was
the
like
crowd. Nate, let me hear your cancer. I have cancer?
Well, no, the cancer one, he would like extract tumors from their body magically, but it was actually like a chicken liver.
Dude.
Something.
and he'd be like, he'd take it and then he'd like throw it out of him, and then if anybody was like gonna inspect it or whatever, you know, like they're like, is this real? Somebody from the crowd who he like had on cue would like come and like eat it up or something like
That's
that.
what
It's
I.
like,
That's what I.
that's what I saw, man.
That's what I always thought was kind of funny. Is he had these guys like just blindly follow him and listen. Like they knew the things were fake, and they're just like, but he's telling me to do it, so I should do it.
So just imagine that meeting that he had with the guy beforehand. He's like, all right, so here's what's going to happen.
Here's the
I'm
chicken.
God.
I'm going to pull out a chicken liver, and it's going to be a little bit old. It's going to be out in the sun for a while. And I'm going to pull it out of a guy. I'm going to say it's cancer, and then I need you to eat it.
But if somebody comes to try inspecting it, eat it, please.
Yeah, just eat it.
You know, after I threw it on the ground, please. Like, even if there's a fuzz.
Eat it,
please.
and then it healed you also.
Yeah.
And then if someone said, like, why did you eat it? Be like, I don't know, the good Lord told me to.
And if they questioned him, he'd be like, do you believe in me or not?
It's up to the gods
Okay.
now.
Do you believe in me or not? What are we doing here? Okay. I need your faith.
I need your undying devotion.
Okay.
Eat a chicken liver.
Blagojevich.
You know, Jesus Christ. It's the hairdo.
Dude, you know what? He
It's the
does
hairdo.
kind of look
It's
like
the hairdo.
Blagojevich.
If
little bit.
Blagojevich had those stupid fucking dark glasses like he did, it would look just like him. But it's the fucking stupid, like, straight, like, hairdo. It's that, like, that bowl cut that's not a bowl cut.
I have to think that if someone met Jim Jones, like even if it was like a used car salesman who met him,
Dude.
they'd be like, dude, that guy's greasy as fuck. There's a conspiracy around all of this that it was actually not what happened at all. What happened was there was a communist agenda brewing in Guyana, which is where the Jonestown Massacre happened. And
Foreshadowing.
And the FBI came and like killed everyone. And the CIA
Honestly,
came and killed everyone.
You can't put it past the the FBI and the CIA.
I mean, who's gonna know?
Especially with how socialist they became. But yeah, so he had plants in the audience, you know, to go back to his healing with crutches and wheelchairs, and he'd chant his prayers and all this and that, and then they'd rise up from their chair like, oh, I can walk. You healed me.
Yeah, they were weird, man.
I've always enjoyed seeing videos of those stupid church healings.
Where the preacher goes around and touches your head. And you're like,
get these demons out of them. And they're like, then you got that weird guy in the corner just like, woo!
Has his pants off.
Yeah.
Just
peeing on the floor.
That's just Zach. That's Zach. That's why he's no longer allowed at church.
That's what Zach would do.
What? The Spirit's feeling me.
I mean, if the good Lord's telling you to do it, right? I guess that'd be an excuse to get away with anything at church. Why are you doing that? The good Lord's telling me. Woo!
Yeah. In the meantime, I'm like, I don't know if I feel comfortable putting my hand up at church. It's like,
why are you raising your hand? Are you a fucking child?
You're in church and you see people raise their hand. You're like, oh, dude, God.
Let's start a church. Guys, let's start a church.
No.
Come on.
No.
It's tax-free.
dude,
I actually care about being in church.
But then we can have Zach, having his questions,
I think we're going off the rails here.
So he did this kind of shit, and it was basically targeting vulnerable, naive people. That's what he liked. He didn't care how intelligent you were. He just wanted people that he could manipulate. That was the goal of Jim Jones.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was a huge thing, though. I mean, when they did move to California and everything, as I saw, he actually became the director of housing, public housing.
Yeah.
And so that is just, I mean, the worst kind of person to have in charge of that, because, I mean, you're already kind of dealing with underprivileged and just shit like that. And so then he was very easily able to just prowl.
He had held some political weight in California, so he was
explains a lot about California.
So
yeah, I mean, he ended up moving to California in 1965 because
Indiana
his integrationist views. There of all the things that are
damn it, we like our Colts football.
He's like,
they weren't there.
I don't like segregation. They're like, you need to get out of here.
Get out of here, boy.
Get out of the South.
And I feel
not really the South.
So I mean, all of these different tricks that he did, right? When he went to California, it was kind of like a show, right? And it ended up getting a pretty good following. And I think by, the time he was in California, he had the biggest following I think he ever had. He had 3,000 people.
Dude, that's just
at its peak.
Way too many people
for a cult. He's doing pretty well.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, I think Scientology's pretty high up there now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess we probably shouldn't shit talk them. They might blacklist us.
Oh no, the church is fuck this church. Church of Scientology is so stupid. So stupid.
Huh? How dare you insult Tom Cruise?
No, but in this, right, there was a lot of control over his followers. There was classic cult things, right? There was strict rules, constant surveillance. He would publicly humiliate. He would publicly humiliate people, that didn't do things exactly the way he wanted to, if they disobeyed him or anything like that. He used fear, manipulation, psychological abuse, classic cult stuff. I mean, you see it every time, but it was definitely going on. And after a while, the government, as usual, with cults, the government's kind of has to start
off.
They have to start. Yeah, that's basically it. They start looking into it and investigating. Right.
I feel like because of this cult, the FBI and the State Department and everybody's just kind of all right, we got this weird church that applied to not pay taxes, and they're kind of fucking weird.
Dude, it's hard as a government too when something like that happens, because you're well, I don't know, the people aren't if you go there, the people are we love it here.
Yeah.
Go away. You're part of the enemy and blah, blah, blah. It's if you can't convince them, it's well, okay, all right, bye.
Why are you questioning me about my master?
And in the meantime, what happens in a cult, and this cult especially too, is all the kids that are born end up getting moved to other families.
Dude,
So like,
I know.
imagine your kid's born.
The
and
whole
it's like,
separation. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously it just kind of, forces you to play along with it. I mean, it puts a lot of pressure on you.
well, the whole point is that you don't have any structure anywhere in your cult, so that it can't get strong enough to disobey.
Yep. You live in your communal
Well-
homes. You sign over all your property.
And how many of those kids were actually Jim Jones's kids?
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Usually the leader's banging everyone.
He's like,
There's so many cults that literally the leader's just like, you know what? You're kind of a dick and your wife's kind of hot. Dude, so many cults are like that.
So vulgar.
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I
would like to
I
have
meant-
coitus with your wife, please.
Sorry.
The Lord's telling me.
Jim Jones tried to get integration happening in Indiana.
Yeah.
And then they just told him no. And then he fucking killed 900 people.
It happens.
By the mid 1970s, like the government's starting to get way too involved in what he's doing. Where at this point he decides, all right, it's time to pick up and it's time to leave because this isn't going well. And he also, the People's Temple cult owed a ton of money to a ton of people, and it was like, we need to start dodging our debts. So they ended up picking up.
It's the American dream.
They end up picking up and moving to Guyana, which is a country in South America.
Yeah, it's
Did
actually.
they really have financial problems? Because the thing that I read was like, they didn't really get any money from Jones. He just collected it all.
Yeah,
and
well,
became
that was the
rich.
thing, is that he was basically building up the debt for the cult, and it was him dodging. That wasn't all the people; it was just
Oh.
him.
I was gonna say
The world was closing in fast around him.
I was gonna say because you can take everyone's money,
well, that was
that's-
what he was doing.
right?
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
what happens, but that only lasts so long because you're not producing anything.
Yeah,
You still have to pay taxes on the land. You still have to feed everyone. You still
It's
have
a
to
church.
get supplies and resources for people.
Yeah.
Like once you start running out of that like Ponzi scheme money, I'll call it. You
That's
got
exactly what a cult
You start
is.
having to borrow money, and then all of a sudden, after a while, you're in
So
debt.
it started unraveling.
Yeah,
Yes.
it started
Yeah,
unraveling.
the pressures of modern society, his money debt. And I think people actually kind of catching wind of what was actually going on.
His shady shit.
right,
And then it also didn't help that he was basically a communist.
so yeah, they moved to Guyana, and we all know what happens there. And man, that's Guyana leave a mark.
Becca liked that joke.
Oh my god.
Did you read that?
Yeah, I did. I read it to her. And she's like,
You have that
Wow.
written in the notes.
he did.
At the very end, it's
Holy shit.
So, anyways, that's how the People's Temple cult forms. They moved to Guyana right through there. They have a large following at that point.
Yeah.
And shit's gonna go down there, but we're gonna get to that next. At this point, we're gonna go to at that time, what's going on in the world.
Woo, woo. The Cold War tensions were building at the time.
Nate loves this section.
I do. I'm sorry.
Cold War was upon us.
For being the stupid history buff I am, this is what I enjoy. Middle East, the Camp David Accords by President Carter was kind of the first peace deal in the Middle East because of everyone wanting to destroy Israel. Post World War II is when Israel was established, and since then, literally every country around it was like, hey, fuck you. And there's been
No, fuck you.
multiple peace deals throughout the years. The Iranian Revolution was happening because that's important. God damn it. China was finally opening up after Mao Zedong.
That was a big deal. So
It was.
yeah.
I mean, that basically flooded the market.
All of a sudden, there was all that money in China to be made
Yeah.
because they were like, "Hey, we want to be part of the world again."
We want to accept your stuff.
After
finally.
literally hundreds of years of not doing anything with the world.
It was a huge deal.
It was a huge deal.
Probably the biggest deal.
And also in the late 1970s, technology started moving,
Finally.
right? Microcomputers, revolution was just beginning. You start to get personal computing during that time.
Yeah, the computers weren't the size of a whole warehouse.
People started getting computers, it was really like once computers came out, it really shifted the whole industry of everything. And then you have its development into the internet, and now people are just TikToking. That's where it started.
But then, ironically, with where the Jonestown
Such an asshole.
happened, you know, South America, a lot of the Latin American countries were run by military dictatorships. I mean, a couple of them still are. They're getting better. But that's when the United States started showing vast interest in that because, you know, the United States just can't keep their fucking nose out of anything.
Yeah, it's funny when he tried to negotiate like a deal with some of those military dictatorships on like buying some land. Apparently, he showed them like an envelope full of what he called $500,000 in cash. It wasn't, but he was like, "Look at how rich we are. We're gonna help support your area so much," and that was a lie.
Until September 11th attacks, the tragedy on Jonestown, on November 18th, which is actually my birthday.
November 18th, really?
November 18th.
My brother Zach's born on November 17th.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh.
Must be
I
a
wasn't
popular time for Zach's.
Luckily, I wasn't born in 1978.
Both of our brothers'
Whoa.
name is Zach.
They are. Which we brought up when Zach was here.
The largest number of American casualties in a single non-natural event. So that's pretty. It's sometimes like we don't even realize how many people died on that day. It's a lot of people. So California Congressman Leo Ryan. He'd been hearing about some trouble
Exactly.
in Jonestown, okay? And a makeshift settlement carved out in the jungle, blah, 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 from Jim Jones. So he's like, dude, what's going on down there? They're doing some shady shit. So actually, he figured out, one had a personal tie to this too. So Ryan's friends with the father of a former temple member, Bob Houston, whose
Sounds fake.
whose body was mutilated and found on train tracks in 1976.
Oof.
So he had some personal ties that, hey, this stuff is real and it's not good.
The cult was like, well, that's just kind of what we do. So
I mean,
you're just gonna have to get used to it.
That's one thing I do kind of love about cults, like the security of the cults, is they just kind of just fuck people up, murder them and all this, and then they're just like, well,
Yeah,
God wanted me to, right?
Yeah. Yeah, listen to this because it keeps going on. So the allegations were serious. Jonestown sounded like more of a slave camp than a religious center. And they talked of beatings, forced labor, imprisonment, use of drugs to control behavior.
Sounds like a good fucking time right there.
Means some of it, if it was used properly, suspicious deaths and even rehearsals for mass suicides.
What?
They even practiced it beforehand.
Yeah, that was a common thing. So especially
Well, yeah,
the drugs was something that a lot of people reported on, and we're like, yeah, sometimes when they did a lunch, like they would put stuff in it. And Jones was a big fan of like giving people drugs to make them more obedient, like not mind control, but like something to make them more lethargic and just like go with the flow type thing. So yeah, I mean, like it was a real thing.
Yeah.
Yep. So this Ryan guy was like, dude, I need to go check out what's going on down there. And the U.S. Department of State repeatedly stonewalled Ryan's attempts to find out what was going on.
I mean, do you really want to pay for some random congressman to fly down to South America?
So can I say this?
Congressmen don't do shit.
Like, I get, yeah, it's fucked up what's going on. It's not in your country.
No.
Yeah,
But that's the thing is, no congressman should be leaving the United States.
It's not in your jurisdiction.
It's not. You serve your district.
I think no congressman should go investigate something that's going on in a different country.
This guy felt the need to, though.
I'm not saying he's not a hero, right?
Well, he's not. Well, he tried.
He attempted.
Well, he's more of a martyr than a hero.
Yeah.
Right. But I think I love what he tried to do for sure. But I'm just saying, like, from a government standpoint, this was kind of in the 1970s when the U.S. was like, we can kind of do whatever we want.
It was still
So we don't like what you're doing in Guyana. So
Yeah.
Guyana, stop it. Okay.
Right.
Shut the fuck up.
So then the Department of State told him everything was fine.
And that's one thing you really trust from the government.
The State Department characterized possibility of United States government actions in Ghana against Jonestown as potentially legally controversial.
Not your country.
It might have been something that was going on there, maybe not.
Dude, that's like the most government response, though. Like, everything is fine.
Well, I mean, in the State Department's offense, it is in a different country. Yes, it is American citizens, but they also moved to a separate country.
Yeah, I mean, it's at the same time, right, with the government, right? You can't tell me what's going on with the frogs, okay? Because the frogs are turning gay,
It's the water.
okay? It's the water.
There's some chemicals in the water turning the frogs gay.
Anyways, sorry.
So then when Jones's legal counsel attempted to impose restrictions, conditions on his visit, Ryan responded he said basically, I don't care. Settlements in the deep bush might be reasonably run by authoritative lines, basically saying it might be okay. I just want to go check it out. So, oh God, here we go. And then, so he decided to visit Ghana anyways. So he didn't really pay attention to that.
Yeah, he basically ignored their whole.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of signs that were like, don't go. It's probably not safe. And he's like, I feel the need to go, basically. So Ryan met with Jones and interviewed many of his followers. Not surprisingly, some families and several individuals were sneaking notes to him. He's like, they're like, get me out of here, please.
The only thing I picture with that is that the Misa lady from Happy Gilmore, get me out of here. Leave us alone.
I mean, there was a lot of people being like, we need to get out of here, please. It ended up being the entire group, and I don't know if this is true or not, but the entire group to fly out together, for they feared what was going on. Jones got wind of it. He's all pissed off.
Well, that's what I want.
So there's a lot of tension. So
yeah, okay, that's good.
And that's where I leave you guys hanging. I need to piss.
You need pizza.
All right, next section is going to be trivia.
I believe it's time for
Yeah, so for trivia today, me and Nate didn't do anything. Zach did a bunch of them. So Zach's going to... Don't look at him, Nate. I think it gives it away.
What is the capital of Guyana?
He's like, no.
Jamestown. Not Jamestown.
Not Jamestown.
Georgetown. Georgetown.
You are correct.
Booyah. I did some research.
I did not know that.
What is the address of the Coliseum?
I still don't know it.
I don't remember it.
It's like Coliseum Drive.
Yeah, it was.
Something stupid.
Coliseum Way or something like that.
All right, go ahead, Zach.
The People's Temple had a pet chimpanzee. What was his name?
Mark.
I'm going to say Jim.
It was Mr. Muggs. And fun fact, not really that fun, he also died in the Kool-Aid incident.
Aww.
It's really sad.
That's the worst part of it. Not the over 200
Mr. Muggs
children.
is coming with us, boys. Let's go.
I can just see Jim. He's like, my final animal cruelty.
What is Guyana's top export?
Weed.
I'm going to say bananas.
Tobacco.
You guys suck.
Coffee beans.
You still suck. Oil.
Well,
That's not funny at all.
why aren't they red?
It's just it's so anticlimactic.
All right.
I'm surprised oil in South America?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So, who was James Jones' role model?
Hitler.
Correct, because he thought that it was amazing how he didn't just go out and go to prison. He killed himself. He thought that was cool. That's
of
the
all
quote.
the things.
That was the quote.
He died when everyone else was dying.
Yep, he said, "I'm taking myself out." He thought that was a righteous move. All right,
That's
Nate,
nice of him.
Your turn.
All right, it's my last question I got.
All right.
He just looked it up.
I did have to figure it out again. What is the top restaurant per Google in Lynn, Indiana, Jim Jones' hometown?
Shut the fuck. I'm gonna.
James.
You're not even gonna answer it?
Jim Jones claimed.
Dude, your question is so stupid. We're not gonna answer it.
Why,
Yeah.
Nate? You should know it. It's actually
Red
kind
Robin.
It's actually
Yum.
kind of funny. No, it's a barbecue place.
It's
It's called Touch of Heaven.
famous.
You know, in the birthland of a cult leader. Touch of Heaven.
Okay.
They have the Jim Jones ribs.
Anyways,
I hate you so much.
They don't.
I hate you
true
so
or
much.
false? Jim Jones claimed he was the only heterosexual on Earth.
That's true.
No. I'm going to go false.
It was true, even though he had sex with men. Also,
What?
so last one, and then I have a few fun facts.
Oh, boy. I can't.
What was the thing that they drank that killed them? Was it Kool-Aid? Or was it Flavor Aid? Or was it a punch?
Why would you say Flavor Aid? No one knows what Flavor Aid is. That was a lot of wind.
Grape Flavor Aid.
It was cyanide-laced grape Flavor Aid.
Why do you
And
think
I think the people at Kool-Aid were pretty pissed off when they found out it was Flavor Aid. And nobody...
you
couldn't
couldn't
use
use Kool-Aid, guys.
Well, they probably were like, they didn't even use Kool-Aid, but everybody knows the name brand of Kool-Aid, right? So
that's what I do love about it, is that it was Flavor Aid, but the whole, don't drink the Kool-Aid came from this.
well, it was funny because, I read about this Flavor Aid or whatever, and people were, really upset. They're like, oh my God, I can't believe I went through this traumatic event, and nobody actually knows what it was. It's like, oh my gosh. They were really upset that they were calling it Kool-Aid.
Even though it was
It's
Flavor
like they
Aid.
didn't even get it right. It's
We're
Flavor
not
Aid.
even getting the goddamn publicity. Okay.
That's what pissed
damn it.
It was
Kool-Aid
like,
off the most.
Jesus.
Well, and I remember the first time I
How
heard this.
unfair for us.
I heard this quote was when I was in high school football.
Our head
I could
coach.
say- so he was kicking around the dirt. He's like, "You guys are just drinking the Kool-Aid," and we're like, "What does that mean?"
He knew exactly. Stillman Valley football, damn it.
The whole thing was that we had won state championships before
And
in-
not with
in-
Zach's
in
grade.
previous seasons, and yeah, all of my teammates drank the Kool-Aid, and they were like, "Well, we smell our own farts, and they smell good, and
We're Stillman Valley. We're
our
going to
shit
win
doesn't our
regardless.
shit doesn't stink." And yeah, we didn't win a lot of games, but that's
You
where it
guys
comes
sucked.
from. That's where I first heard that phrase.
And ever since then, Zach's like, I love Colts.
Yeah.
Ever since then, he has slowly become a cult leader.
Do you remember what happened when I played football?
I think there was a state championship one.
That's right, baby. Backup state championship. Woo! Nate was too fucking lazy to play football in high school, but then he went to college and did sports.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I
It
just
was
didn't play my senior
It
year.
was because of Swenny. He didn't motivate him at all.
Swinney was not a motivator.
So the last comment I have here, it's not really a trivia question, but he also had the habit of refusing to respond to anyone who spoke to him first, and only engaged in conversation when he started it.
Dude, I'm going to start doing that at work.
Dude, I
That's
feel like my
perfect.
day would be less burdened if I was the one that, if I was the one that initiated the conversation to hold that.
You just
Dude,
walk
My boss
away
would be
from
like,
people
Nate, what are you
talking
doing
to you.
today? Fuck you.
Dude,
You're not
everyone
important enough.
everyone's got that coworker where you wish you could do that to them.
Oh,
So at this point, we've done we know who Jim Jones is. We know that the People's Temple cult is well established. It has a lot of followers, and we're in Guyana, and the government has started looking into it, even when it's out of the country. And now we're going to talk about the day of the massacre.
November 18th, Zach's
Yep.
birthday.
Oh shit, that's
it's
right.
My birthday.
That's why
Yeah,
he likes the story
left
so much.
You left it when you went. That's when
So-
he brought it up.
Happy
So,
birthday.
Happy birthday! Everybody dies. So
Leo Ryan.
yes, Leo Ryan, the congressman, did fly down there to investigate, even though the State Department told him not to.
I mean, the government
reckless.
shouldn't be involved somewhere where it's not the country.
I
Right?
agree.
Come on.
That's one thing that the United States has always had a problem with, being the world police.
Like, they probably wouldn't have all died if the U.S. government hadn't gotten involved.
I think it would have been prolonged.
Not at that time they
Yeah,
would have died.
I think something would have happened.
Eventually.
Eventually.
It would have been a slow burn.
I don't think it would have been a mass, but I think it just eventually people would just start.
I think people would have trickled out, right? They would have went somewhere
eventually.
else. Yeah.
I'm not wearing pants.
Zach is not. He got way too hot.
We're all entering Zach's cult tonight.
The cult of no pants.
Welcome.
Daddy's home.
Jesus Christ. You two fucking guys.
I need to take my shirt off too.
Dude, take your shirt off. It'd be really funny.
It just pops in his shirt's off.
No, but I guess he already took it off. But on a serious note, like, I am so glad you're obnoxious enough to start a podcast.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And I'm very appreciative that you've let me come into it.
Hard.
It sounds
No,
so
but,
bad.
but seriously, like,
no, dude.
I appreciate you letting me do this with you. It's seriously a ton of fun.
Do you want to know?
I know it's not like taking off,
plan?
but like it's so much fun.
Do you want to know what my plan was that day? Is I knew you were gonna fall in love with it, and so I invited you on because I knew
Oh,
because I'm
man.
like I don't want to just ask him outright because then he'd be like weird about it, and so I knew that you were gonna come on that show and be like, dude, this is so much fun, and then be like, hey, why don't you do it all the time with me? And you would be like, what? Just like you did.
Dude, you were starting your own cult.
I did. I was manipulative because I knew what was.
Time out. I'm like,
Where's your
hearing all
shirt?
you guys in echoes. And
Where's your
myself.
shirt?
What happened?
All right, let's finish this off.
Okay.
Come on.
All right.
I
So
don't have a
yes,
shirt on.
November 18th,
Enough sentimental
1978,
shit.
Guyana. That is the day of the actual Jonestown Massacre.
Zach's birthday.
It is Zach's birthday.
Put a shirt on, you fairy.
When were you born? 90?
89.
89.
I'm an 80s baby.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So 21 years after this, Zach was born. November 18th, 1978, Guyana.
Shit starts to go down.
That is where everything happens. We're going to do the timeline. So 9 a.m., Congressman Leo Ryan arrives to Jonestown with his small delegation of a couple of reporters and photographers and stuff to do his own investigation.
So, fun fact, he was supposed to go with his friends of other congressmen. They're like, I have another obligation that I don't want to go there.
Got
Dude,
those
imagine
bills to
being
pay.
imagine being those guys after everything went down, being like, "Oh fuck."
We told you so, Ryan.
So yeah, so at noon, Ryan starts meeting with everybody. He actually interviews Jim Jones just to see what's going on.
Mike Jones.
Not Mike Jones,
Who?
but he's actually starting to interview some of the residents of Jonestown, and they're kind of like, "Oh yeah, we love it here." But as they're leaving, they're secretly, passing him notes. They're like, "Get me the fuck out of here."
Well, and Jones gets word of that too.
Yeah, that's what kind of triggers everything.
So once that happens, he's like, "All right, shit's going
Yeah.
down."
So 1, 2 o'clock, Ryan's delegation prepares to leave, and a lot of residents actually come to him and like, "Hey, like, can we go with you?"
Take me with you.
Yeah. And so he's actually trying to do the good thing and is like, "Yes, like, let's get the fuck out of here."
I gotta say this, right? A cult that has no resources
They get
might
desperate.
be okay in California, but if you go to Guyana,
where there's literally nothing.
well, there it's
Dense
a
jungle.
so it's very much a jungle-like atmosphere, very hot tropical climates. Things are harder, and you have less resources. I bet conditions got far worse by the time they were in Jonestown.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 3:00 he announces that he'll take anyone that he wants to leave. He'll take them with him. Around 15 members decide to go.
Not that many.
But
I thought it was the whole crew. No.
well, he's got a crew, but then it ended up actually what kind of screwed them is that he took too many.
He took too many.
But so then an actual member of the church of the People's Temple tried to assassinate him before he left.
With a knife, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a knife attack, and he evaded it.
It's a weird
Basically.
assassination attempt.
Right?
It's not
Well,
going to work
and-
most of the time.
And Ryan's like, "What?" He like,
Fucking wax on,
like
wax
and
off.
you think a congressman would be like, "Ugh," like just get stabbed, you know? And he's-
Dude, I would just get stabbed. If someone came at me with a knife, I'd be like, this is it?
I think I would try to be like cool and be like, "Wah!" But then it would just end up inside me and be like, fuck.
It's like, how do you evade that? And then
You do a flip. Parkour.
And it makes me think like, yeah, I talked a lot in this episode about how the U.S. shouldn't be involved in somewhere that's not the U.S. But at the same time, like he is doing
doing the good.
I mean, he's literally putting his life on the line at this point
Yep.
to help the people that were there because they needed help.
Yeah.
Right.
And in his defense, he did not know, like going down there, he did not think he was going to be losing his life. He thought it was just going to be.
I'm sure.
Well, right. He said
out.
it was probably okay.
Yeah.
It's probably just a
Well, what's crazy to
misunderstanding.
me is that Jim Jones was like, "Oh yeah, come on, let's talk."
Initially, it wasn't like that.
Because Jim's not a stupid guy, right?
No.
If you put up too much of a fight, it's going to get bad.
Yeah, but I mean, when he showed up and you're like, "Ah, fuck," like,
Well,
I think
what I read was he originally went
Oh, he
to like
tried
his
his-
hotel and he
his
tried to
damnedest.
call from like the hotel to try to get in contact with Jim Jones, and they're like, "Oh, well, you didn't schedule something."
he tried his damnedest to not meet with him.
Yeah.
he's busy right
But then he
now.
showed up
You're
there
Yeah,
gonna
and
have to
they're
get
basically,
like,
you
"Oh,
had an
fuck."
unplanned visit, is what they
The
told
U.S.
us.
government knocks on your fucking prison camp. You're like, "Ah, shit."
Yeah,
So
I mean, Jim at this point knows things are coming for him.
He's ordering the cyanide right now.
He didn't order it. He
Dude, I
fucking
think-
had it.
I was gonna say he had it. They had practiced mass suicides before this. Like they were well equipped.
Yeah. So
Which
you're
is
thinking about that.
super sad.
9 a.m. he shows up, and by basically 6 o'clock at night, shit's going down. He had it there.
Yeah.
So 4 o'clock, he had the attempt on his life. They escape. 5 o'clock, he arrives at Port Kaituma airstrip, is where they were trying to escape from. But the downfall.
So we're talking about Leo Ryan, the
Yeah, Leo Ryan,
congressman,
yeah.
and all of his security detail. And they
plus
go
the
to
reporters and all that.
and the
he had.
reporters, yeah. And they
And
go
then-
to the airstrip.
Yeah.
And that's
and
when
then-
shit goes down.
And the 15 defectors.
Yep,
Uh,
yep.
So at that time, I've seen multiple things where it's a tractor or it's a truck show up. Basically, something holding a bunch of people show up from Jim Jones's.
Pile out with guns.
Fully armed. Just decide to start shooting on the airplanes because they basically had too many people, and so they had to get a second airplane, and that's what they were waiting on. If he would have had just enough people for one airplane, he would have made it out.
But they were gunned down in force.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tragic.
So 5 people ended up dying at the airstrip. It was Congressman Ryan, who was the only congressman to die in the line of duty.
I mean, that's what I mean. Like, I know it's easy to question his involvement. At the same time, what
but
a
he
hero!
was,
a hero!
He was trying to do the right thing.
Absolutely.
Everyone was basically trying to get him to stop and not do it, and he was like, "No, like I need to do this." But sadly, he died. An NBC reporter, Don Harris, NBC cameraman, Bob Brown, San Francisco Examiner photographer, Greg Robinson, and one of the defectors, Patricia Parks, and then a bunch of people also got wounded but escaped.
I heard that Ryan got like shot a lot.
He was probably
Like-
the main target.
Like he got shot 20 times and they shot him in the face, I think is what I read.
So that was
Too
5:20 p.m. and then
Dude, but you know what?
between-
Hey, can we just let's have a drink to Leo Ryan, right? Seriously.
Pour one out for him.
we're
I
not
don't
pouring
Hey,
out.
man.
We're in the basement.
Yeah, Zach's gonna fake it.
Here.
That's fine. He's got to drive me home.
I'll fight you.
I'm drinking the Kool-Aid.
To a real American.
That's a real American hero, Leo Ryan. So,
Oh yeah.
So that was 5:20 p.m. And between 5:30 and 6 p.m. back in Jonestown, Jim Jones initiates what he calls the revolutionary suicide.
do you think it's a little fast?
I think so, and I honestly think that Jim Jones thought it wasn't going to be successful getting there in time, and so that's why he decided to do what he did. Because
What do you mean? What do you mean getting there in time?
I think he didn't think his people that were going after him were going to get to
Oh,
Congressman Ryan in time. Because I think if he would have felt confident enough that they were going to get back there in time and stop that, I don't think it would have happened.
see, I feel like okay, you get there, you shoot him down, and his detail, and all the people, right? It's super messed up. You get back, it's not like the U.S. government automatically knows and is coming right now.
Yes. But I feel like he didn't think they were going to get there in time to stop him from leaving. And so that's why he was like, you know what, fuck it, like, let's do it now.
Oh, he didn't know.
No, I don't think he knew. Because within 10 minutes of it happening, and it was,
But even then,
hours
they have
away.
to fly back and fly back.
yeah, but I mean, even with it being, like, that landing strip being hours away from where they were,
Sure.
I think that he didn't think his guys were going to get to Congressman in time to stop him from flying back.
I mean,
and so
regardless, they're still gonna get. You can't kill a congressman and just be like, "Oh,
eventually someone's going to be like,
I
oh,
think
shit.
somebody's coming for you."
I know the end's near, but I think someone that's such a piece of shit like Jim Jones would be like, I'm gonna disappear
Yeah.
into the jungle.
I'm going to go hang out with the Nazis down in
I'm just-
Brazil.
Join Hitler.
I'm just surprised
Exactly.
he did what he did
Yeah.
so fast.
So, yeah, I mean,
Knee-jerk
5:20 they died. Congressman Ryan died. 5:30 to 6 o'clock, that's when Jim Jones decided to do his suicide plan. He he instructed everyone to drink the cyanide-laced Flavor Aid. And
They made one big bathtub full of Flavor Aid with cyanide in it, right?
But
And
what's
different
crazy?
things.
Yeah, what's crazy to me is that he had armed guards, basically surrounding everybody. That made so they're just gonna leave.
So at this point, he knew there was gonna have to be some coercion
Yeah.
to get everyone to do what he wanted to do.
Yeah,
Because I mean, this is the guy. His main goal is to manipulate and control people, and at this point, the ultimate thing he can do is say, "Okay, things are ending for me.
Yeah.
it's going to end for you. God damn it!"
the world's
Like,
ending.
that's
That
where
was-
he's at.
That was his big thing. Is
Well, because everybody knew what was going on.
yeah,
Right?
the fear he instilled in his people in a nuclear fallout. Basically,
I don't think a lot of them wanted to die,
for sure.
I don't
and-
feel like anybody really wants to die in a cult, but
but
it's
they
just
were instructed to, and I think a lot of them didn't die from the poison. They died from I thought it was gunshots and whatever too.
the ones that decided not
The ones
to drink
that are
the
like,
poison.
I'm not gonna do this.
Because they were coming forward with syringes, right? The guy who was running it was doing a syringe and he'd squirt it in your mouth, right?
I thought they also did the
Injection?
The injection. If you didn't participate,
They forced it.
Force it.
yeah.
They did. I mean, I saw a lot of things where it was forced coercion, just basically like, if you're not going to do this, we're going to fucking do it to you.
It's pretty dark shit.
Yeah. This
It's
is where it
gross.
does get a little crazy.
Not a happy topic.
No, because it is roughly over 900 people. I think what I saw was like 918
Yep.
was the number, and then over 200 of them were children. So 7 o'clock, the poisoning begins. So basically within an hour and 40 minutes of them gunning down the congressman, they're like, here's the cyanide poison, or the cyanide punch.
I like to think Jim Jones walks in. He's like, "Hey, how does everyone feel about dying?
Yeah!
Anyone else want to die?
Not just me? Oh, shit.
All right, let's all
Well,
die."
they got guns, so either we're shooting you or you're drinking this
I mean,
punch.
so there's some rumors that at
What
lunch
does cyanide
at
taste
lunch
like?
that day they drugged people to be like, hey, you
Be a
should,
little more persuasive.
yeah, a little bit, make things easier for people to decide to go along with it. Like, people were kind of loopy anyways. And they had done so many practice runs of, like, mass suicides anyways, which is, like, that's a little weird.
It's such a weird thing. I mean,
Let's practice because
I mean,
it's coming soon.
It's super dark. It's super terrible. Like, cults are awful, and it's such a tragic thing that happens. It's such a weird thing that happens in society, honestly.
It is. Cults are, I mean, that's the whole basis of it. It's just kind of
But weird. This is, I mean, you hear about don't drink the punch, like
don't
Zach
drink
said.
the Kool-Aid.
Don't drink the Kool-Aid.
I mean, like, it's just, it's so dark, so messed up, but people
like
got
knowing that
into
it comes.
Well,
I mean, knowing that where it comes from, like, yeah, it's super dark, but like people, like Zach when he was in,
he almost drank
football.
the Kool-Aid.
Well, no, I think it's actually misleading. Okay, so people
you hear
say
Kool-Aid and you think
don't
it's very
drink the
innocent.
Kool-Aid. It means don't be gullible.
Yeah.
Don't be a follower. These people, half of them probably weren't like, yeah, let's just drink the Kool-Aid. Half of them were forced to do it, or didn't get out alive.
Wrong spot at the wrong time.
So 7 o'clock is when it started. By 8 p.m., over 900 people are already dead, and then including Jim Jones, they found him with a gunshot wound,
which is the most like bitch move.
Yeah.
Of the
like,
whole
just drink
thing.
this fucking cyanide.
Like so it's the ultimate tell that he thought he was above everyone else.
He didn't want to suffer like them.
Because like as moral he preached and everything, I wanted to point out, like, he came up and said, okay, you know what, everything those people went through, because it wasn't like they drank the cyanide and it was like they just died.
It wasn't instant.
It was like they drank the cyanide and they suffered.
Yeah.
Those people suffered, and it was painful.
And they watched everybody they love.
They watched everyone they love and their family suffer. It's disgusting what happened. And he said, you know what? I deserve a quicker death. So he did a gunshot to the head. What a bitch move.
I agree.
If you're so moral, don't put yourself above everyone else. And that's exactly what he did.
Yeah. And then, so that was 8 o'clock. And so then by 11 p.m., that's when the Guyanese authorities showed up to Jonestown and found all the bodies.
And they said, oof, that's Guyana leave a mark.
That's horrible. He does. But, yeah, that is...
shameless.
It's horrible. But that's just what's crazy to me is I couldn't imagine being those people, showing up and then just finding 900 people fucking dead.
Like, man, Americans are weird.
That's what I honestly... Wouldn't you think that?
Yeah, I totally would think that.
They don't have anything better to do? Like, jeez.
Dude. Yeah, so
mean,
sadly, a lot of people died.
It's a super tragic story.
Yeah, that didn't need to die, but at the same time, I keep forgetting Zach's damn near naked.
Funny.
Dude. Anyways, that's our episode on the Jonestown Massacre and the People's Temple cult. Thank you guys so much for listening. Sorry it was a little dark. Yeah. We're going to go into some happier times. Maybe some talk about war. I guess that's a little bit happier. I don't know.
War.
Sorry if you can see my underpants.
So, yeah, feel free to leave a comment about Zach being shirtless on the episode.
He's also not wearing pants.
So, if you guys could leave us a comment on Apple or send our show to one of your friends that you might think would like this kind of crap. Follow us on TikTok or Instagram. Facebook. But anyways, hope you guys enjoy the show and have a great week.
Yep. See ya.
Peace.